Edwards on the drive, goes inside the floor. Turn him over again. Booker scoops it up. Booker brings the boom.
Welcome one, welcome all. We are joined by Mangone today, and I know that you might have been wanting Big T and JSU, or might have been expecting that, but you'll settle for Mangone and I to talk about this 4-game NBA slate that we have on the horizon today. 4 great games. If you consider the Cavs and Heat to be a great game, Mangone, you got 4 good games to look forward to. I look forward to this Memphis Grizzlies game, ending that series after what they pulled in Game 3, blowing a 29-point lead. But, hey, I'll say this, Mangone. These last 2 games are the heavy hitters, 6 p.m. and 8:30 p.m. We have an early lock tonight for the Showdown slate. So for those who have been playing Showdown and have been crushing, you see Big T here in the chat talking about his golf game. Oh, his Showdown game has not been too bad. You know who else has been even better? It's Uncle T, whose Showdown game has been even better than Big T's. And then obviously, Mangone, you've been cooking up some winners as well. Should be a good time tonight and should be a great 4 games that we'll talk about here. How are you doing?
Yeah, last night was good. I think I got, 7th in the $100 single entry, so not terrible, right? Good day there. MME wasn't bad. I had sweats and showdowns, a little bit of sweats in the main too. So overall was a good time. Yeah, Big T, we got the fresh cut, right? I just woke up, so it's no hair here. Also, I will say, Big T, he's talking about Gregory's golf game. I heard it was tough for you out there. I need to hear about the golf game review, and I need to hear about the hat. Do you have the hat that you wore on the golf course that you could show the people? Because Uncle T mentioned it in the chat, and people wanted to hear about the hat.
So if you can see, I am burned on my arms, my legs, and even like a little bit right here, below the shoulders and stuff. But that hat did not sunburn, the face or anything like that. I wear it when I do yard work. I wear it when I go golfing. It's a big hoopty hat, but it's also a Costa Rica hat where it says Pura Vida and stuff. You got to love the vibes, right? You crack open a cold one, you got the Pura Vida vibes, and then you go out and shoot 107 on the course. What is better than that, Mango? And I'll say this. People were saying, oh, the Big T and Uncle T had to wait for 107 shots. No one plays quicker than me. All right, no one plays golf quicker than me. I'll play golf in an hour's round. If you're going to see 107 shots, they're going to be pretty quick. Uncle T's sitting there saying, slow down. You don't need to play so fast. It's like, well, I want to get off the course when I'm shooting 107. I don't want to stay on it.
Rubio, that's the angle you need to make with Uncle T. You need to say, Uncle T, I'll play you in golf, but listen, you got 10 seconds to walk up and hit your ball. There's a timer, and if you pass the timer, you get a stroke, right?
Hey, I'll say this, Mangone. People were saying, oh, we had to wait, several minutes, right, or whatever. Oh, it sucks. You had to wait for 210 shots between those two guys. Big T's Brian Harmon, all right? That dude takes more practice chips than I have ever seen than anyone in my life, all right? I'm sitting there at the top of the green. This is the only hole that I actually beat him into the green, It's like hole 4. I see him take about 7 cuts practicing his chip. I'm like, okay, this is the one he's going to hit it. I kept thinking that 4 or 5 times in a row just to watch that guy sail the green, It's just pace of play. Uncle T and I, we don't have that issue. I can tell you that. That is a fact.
Well, our guy Anthony, maybe he was struggling. Maybe he's in his head because Jokic is stuck in his head because my guy Zubac, who I said on this show last week would be a problem for Jokic, and people weren't happy with that. He's a problem for him. I just saying. Obviously, again, Jokic, he's the best in the league. He's one of the best watches, one of my favorites to watch, right? If you told me, hey, you could watch anyone play basketball today, I would like to watch Jokic. He's awesome to watch. But if I had to draw someone up to defend Jokic, Zubac is a pretty good guy too. So, maybe Big T's a little distraught from his Nuggets. I know that's getting tough on him. The NFL draft was last night. I don't know. Maybe he's struggling with the draft picks coming up with the Bengals. I'm not sure what's going on with Big T.
Yeah, the Bengals draft picks weren't really well received here. I can tell you that, man. Going a bunch of guys who, well, let's hope they pan out, right? And I'm just gonna have to call this out here. All right, that is cap. That is just not true. That is blasphemous. And you know what? The only reason why you may be even a fraction as quick is because you shot a 74 or whatever. All right, respect. I'm not gonna hate on you there, but that is just blasphemy right there.
Fair enough. Can you hear me better, by the way? I had my mic like all the way in like the corner.
Yeah, of course, man. Yeah, I can hear you just fine.
Well, I'm just making sure. I just moved my mic, so hopefully that helps. Zubac, I mean, Big T. Sit this one out, okay? Clippers are winning the series. He's one of the best guys you could draw up to cover him. I said this. No one can guard him. He's unguardable, but there's a guy that's going to slow him down. He's the guy. So it's not Rudy Gobert. I bet you wish Rudy Gobert was on the Clippers right now, Big T, because he's not barbecue chicken. Zubac ain't barbecue chicken out here. So,
well, you're right about that, man. We got 4 games to get to, but a couple injury news that I really wanted to kind of touch on first. Ja Morant's going to miss out on this one, so you're going to have some Memphis Grizzlies value. I thought it was one of the most preposterous decisions in that game 3. Not like, Memphis was going to win the game or anything, but down 3, you pull the second leading scorer in the game, Scottie Pippen Jr., who's 6 for 10 from deep. You get a corner 3 for Conchar wide open and miss it. Made no sense to me. You have Michael Porter Jr. questionable. His status here, CC Daniel even mentions it, like Najee, right? That's a showdown play, but it would be Peyton Watson and Russell Westbrook who'd be the 2 biggest beneficiaries there. I mentioned that in the showdown playbook a couple nights ago, but it just comes down to Michael Porter Jr.'s health. If he is out, Peyton Watson would probably be the cheapest at 3,500. Russell Westbrook is still 5,100 and stuff, but those minutes would increase for both of them dramatically. And then obviously we still have to talk about Jimmy Butler. I don't know, man. That fall last game, I ended up firmly cashing Showdown with him. And the worst part was that I thought it was one of my better lineups of the year in Showdown, in terms of single entry. And, watching him get hurt, I don't really expect him to go tonight. I don't know if you have a feeling one way or the other, but you had the agent saying pray for the bear or whatever like that. The agent who's so full of himself, he denies that Jimmy Butler even wanted a trade from Miami to begin with. But that is going to be very key news. And you saw what Steve Kerr did. Steve Kerr, man, he went like 12, 13, 14 deep it felt. And you know who got dusted off the shelf? Jonathan Kuminga. No idea what Steve Kerr would pull if Jimmy Butler is out tonight, but it will be interesting to keep tabs on. Any thoughts on those injuries here?
Yeah, injuries are important. Rubio, turn that alarm clock off. Uncle T is calling you out. Hey, there's questionable tags today, right? I see 6 of them. Darius Garland questionable, Luke Kennard questionable, Michael Porter Jr. questionable, Russell Westbrook, Jimmy Butler, and Gary Payton. So these are really important pieces of news that we're going to have to adjust throughout the day. Big T, I know you don't like when the injury report comes before the show starts, but we can mention it game by game. It's not a laundry list. Don't get too upset, Tony. But yeah, it's a clear spot where injuries are going to be important. I assume Garland plays. Luke Kennard, I'm assuming plays, but maybe he doesn't if they just want to completely fold over. That would be a big piece of news if he doesn't play, just because he has been playing a pile of minutes and they're already missing Ja, obviously. Then you got Porter, Westbrook. That's a really big one for the opportunities for Watson and Zeke Nnaji, as I like to call him, the double N. And then, the Jimmy Butler one definitely matters. The problem with Jimmy Butler, though, is who on earth is going to be in there? Is it going to be Kurt's lookalike, Pat Spencer? I don't know who the Warriors are going to end up playing. Obviously, Kuminga will get a huge bump. We'll talk about it, but this is a slate where we got to adjust as the day goes on, and it's going to be a tough one to make decisions with, because if someone gets ruled out, you might feel like an idiot for playing someone else. Like yesterday, a great example is Gary Trent Jr. Very small piece of news, but he had a career game. I ended up getting overweight on him. I was overweight on him and Dante DiVincenzo. Those were 2 guys I really, really felt strongly about, especially once I started making swaps. I was like, I'm getting a ton of Gary Trent Jr., and it's because it's jamming in studs. And honestly, on a 4-gamer, we might want to jam in studs, right? we're going to want to get Jokic on our teams, even though I know I said that Zubac's really good at covering him, right? Jamal Murray could get a really nice boost. Harden, Kawhi, you got Donnie Mitch if Garland's out. Of course, I didn't mention the Memphis guys. It's a clear like stars and scrubs slate. It feels more like a shorter regular season kind of slate, but we'll talk about it as we keep going through things.
Yeah, we will talk about it for sure. Gary Trent Jr. being a late start into that game against the Pacers ended up going for 37 points, man, going absolutely an unreal performance. You needed him to win. You could have cashed without him, but man, you needed him to get there at the top. You could have some similar situations here tonight. Let's go ahead and get into game one here. I thought it was funny. This is why I think Garland's going to play too. I'm not worried about Garland missing at all, really. But they asked him, how is your offense so effective? What's the offensive strategy? And it was just straight up, just go after Tyler Hero. I thought that was very funny, and that's kind of been the strategy for them, right? I'm not going to entertain if Garland misses. If Garland does miss, you'll be covered perfectly into the Discord and everything like that, right? Like we'll have that covered completely. But right now, when you look at this team, you have some good values. Like Ty Jerome, he's going to be fine, right? He's actually going to be like a little bit owned too, 15, 20%, maybe at 4,300 for a value play. You're talking about stars and scrubs. That could be a path there, but even if Garland's in, he's going to be okay. But Jarrett Allen is popping a little bit, projected for about 20 to 24%. You have Evan Mobley in the same range. You got some options here. I mean, it's the usual suspects with the Cavs, right? Like where the offensive production is going to come from. It's just about, do you really want to target this game early on, Mangone? And I think the answer for me is probably not. I'd rather kind of sit back and watch this news unfold. I think the last three games are going to be all significantly better for DFS than this one. And I think maybe that's slightly disrespectful to considering the Rockets and Warriors could easily be a 180-point affair like we saw, kind of similar to game one. But I will also say this too, Mangone. Who's popping a ton of my lineups here? Bam Adebayo. He is going to be very, very chalky as well, along with Tyler Hero. I think if I were to go with these guys, I think it would be on the Miami side. I do think they have a really good chance of taking this game. I thought they had a good chance of taking game two. Ended up losing, late in the fourth quarter there, losing by, what was it? Like, I don't even think they covered, did they? But really, you have to look at the Heat here. Bam and Hero are probably the top two plays from this game. What do you think?
Yeah, so another thing that I think matters a little bit with these series coming up is like what game they're in, right? They're not all at the same game. Like Cleveland and Miami, they are currently only at game 3, right? Where like Memphis and OKC, like I wouldn't be surprised if Memphis like kind of closes up shop throughout the game and like kind of just folds over. When you're getting beat by 20 and it's like 3-0 already, it's just easier to like kind of wave the white flag. And someone like Desmond Bane, not to say he won't play minutes, but just not care as much, right? Just understand, hey, it's over. For Miami, this ain't over, right? It's game 3. It's not a series yet, right? It's a series once a road team wins, and no one has won a road game. At least that's how I like to say it. Bam Adebayo, Tyler Hero, they're definitely going to be guys like kind of similar to the Magic yesterday, where I see them like Banchero and Franz Wagner, where these other two key guys, yes, they do have an Andrew Wiggins and a Davion Mitchell, but these guys are going to play a pile of minutes tonight. I'm expecting a lot of minutes from these guys. I'm with you. I like Bam Adebayo. Hero, I'm not as excited about. I just think there's other ways I'd rather spend my salary, but it's really hard to completely ignore Bam Adebayo, I think. So I am interested in him. We've seen him have some really good playoff series in the past. I see him just being someone that's probably just going to get 40 almost every single night, as long as the game is close. I'm interested in him. I think there's better studs later, right? But I'm MME, so I'm going to have exposure to him. I probably will be a lot lower on someone like Tyler Hero. It is at home. He is 7,600, so he did get a little bit of a price decrease, but I'm not going to be as excited about him. Davion Mitchell, he is someone to talk about because he has been, absolutely phenomenal throughout this playoffs. Price is at 5.2K. He's had 30 DK points in basically every game he's played. He's clearly way more involved than he has been in the past. He was off the bench. Now he's starting. He started last game for Alec Burks. I'm assuming he starts again. We will know this ahead of time. At 5.2K, Alec Burks is a very good – or not Alec Burks. Davion Mitchell's a very good player. I know Alec Burks DNP'd last game, so they tightened up the rotation there at the guards. Davion Mitchell looks like one of the best plays, I would say, in this game. So I'm a big fan of him. We get a role player at home, and it's a role player that now is an increased role. So Davion Mitchell's probably the best play, followed by Bam Adebayo, and then maybe it's probably Hero over Wiggins just because, Wiggins went down to 6'9" at least, so that helps. But it's probably still Hero over Wiggins, and then it would be Wiggins. So that would probably be my rankings. The rest of the guys, they're just not necessary. Khalil Ware at 4.3, you can definitely make an argument for. We've seen his price throughout the season, Rubio. We've seen it go up and down, up and down. And whenever it goes down, it's like a buy spot, right? At home, this is his best opportunity to maybe bounce back. If you wanted to take stabs in tournaments, there's tournament winning upside, but this is more an MME play. It's probably not really a single entry idea on this slate. And it's just buying in on a role player that starts, that has a lower price than it should be, right? He's been in that lower 5K range. He'll dip up or he'll move up to 6K at times. But yeah. Haywood Highsmith is a value in MME that'll probably get pushed onto your teams on a slate where I think we're going to gain a lot more value. I will probably not want to have that. For instance, if you have 20% Haywood Highsmith, I can see yourself lowering it or just Xing it just because we're going to get better values throughout the day, it seems like. So I think that's every player on that side that we really touched on. Cleveland, I'm going to be a lot lower on, I think, in general. Obviously, if Darius Garland's out, that'll shake up the slate and change everything, but these values, I don't see myself loading up on DeAndre Hunter, Max Strus, Sam Merrill, Ty Jerome. I'm just not really that interested. You could maybe make a case for Ty Jerome at 4.3. I know he has upside, but again, role player on the road. Ty Jerome is fine, but I just think we're going to get better value. So there's Scottie Pippen, who we'll talk about. Obviously, it's going to have an even bigger increase. I know he's more expensive, but you get what I'm saying. Last thing to touch on with the Cavs are the studs. Donovan Mitchell. For one, I like Donovan Mitchell when he gets these playoff scenarios because he just plays iso ball and he has everyone else watch. He may as well have me and you sitting in the corners, Rubio. It doesn't matter. He's going to shoot the ball. He doesn't give a shit. He plays the iso hero ball. It's not good enough to win a title, but it's good enough to, get far enough in the playoffs. Donovan Mitchell's a great play at 8.5K. I like him even over Tyler Hero. I think I like him over Bam. That one's probably close, but it's probably him over Bam. And with it being on the road, he's going to even play more hero ball, right? So that's obviously encouraging. If you had to pick Evan Mobley versus Jared Allen, I lean Jared Allen at 6-1. I understand Jared Allen. He's kind of similar to a Miles Turner where there's tournament winning upside here at the price tag of 6-1. It's just too cheap. I understand that there's risk to him as well, but he's more of an MME guy. If you wanted to sprinkle in your single entry, I don't think it's crazy to have him, and he should be a little bit lower owned. And then Evan Mobley, I just think he's a fade at 8K. I can't see myself playing him at this price. He hasn't been that great in this series. I don't see it turning really anytime soon. I know there could be flop lag spots, but if I'm doing a flop lag spot, I want it to be a mid-range guy, not an 8K guy. So especially when I just think Donovan Mitchell is going to gain all that usage. And Caleb, sure, the Mobley game is happening soon. That's fair. It could happen at any time. I just don't see it happening now. Again, I'm MMEing, so maybe I get that sprinkle in there just so I don't feel dead. Because I'll tell you this, it does feel really bad if someone goes off in the first game and you feel dead for the day. That is one of my biggest fears when I'm MMEing is that first game. It's already happened once of the 2 4-game slates that we've had where I was dead because I faded one of the early guys that absolutely nuked. So, but to be fair, Evan Mobley's going to have to go for 50 or 60 for me to feel bad we're not having him because of the slate that we are presented with, right? There's going to be insane amount of values. There's insane amount of stars that we can get up to that are really good. And like I said, I just think Donovan Mitchell's better. I think Bam Adebayo is a better stud. And honestly, at the price, I think I'd take Tyler Hero over Evan Mobley as well. So I know I rambled a lot there, but I'm playing MME and I'm playing a lot on it. So I really want to think these things through. And I think how you handle these early games matters a ton. And I think it's really allocating towards Mitchell's definitely a guy you want to be overweight on. He's just too good of a play. And then you want to just kind of get exposure to these studs. I think that's the best way to do it. Sure, there's other guys you could sprinkle throughout, but I would want to look at my whole portfolio and players later on and understand what values am I maybe missing out on later on if news breaks a certain way. So that's another important thing I think you got to think about.
All right, Mangone, you ready to play some trivia? Who in their most recent game was fourth in the playoffs in potential assists?
That's Davion Mitchell.
Yep.
I knew that one.
18 potential assists last game. He only had 6. So I looked at his prop and I saw 8+ was plus money. I said, hold on, you only got 6 last game. But wow, 18 potential assists. And you look at Bam Adebayo, who had 9 assists. He had 12 potential assists last game too. So if this says anything, Bam and Davion were the ones who were kind of dishing it out, and Tyler Hero was the one taking a lot of the shots. I just got to kind of give you a slight pushback on Hero. I think 7,600 is still too cheap. He is the only guy who can create his own shot, and I think that includes Bam and stuff. I just think if they're going to have a chance to win, it's got to be off his back, similar to the 33, 6, and 5 he had last game. Like, I do agree with you. I think Donovan Mitchell straight up, the 900 price difference is going to be a big deal, but it's kind of easy to like the Heat and not like the Cavs, right? Like you were mentioning, I love the Heat, the Heat side of things too, especially with Bam in here. But you make a great point on Davion. Like with Burks DNPing, like these 36 minutes are pretty safe because they want him out there to defend the best perimeter guard, right? Like, the switch to Hero is always going to try and happen, but you can at least make life difficult for the Cavs in that sense. And really, man, I think the only thing I have to add with Khalil Ware, like I just don't know if he offers enough offensive upside at all. They went with Jokic a lot last game, but they also went with Highsmith a lot in these first 2 games too. A lot of that could just be the hot hand, but Andrew Wiggins, only 28 minutes last game. Like, who knows what exactly? I mean, I think Spo is going to have zero issue riding the hot hand or whatever, but Jovic at 3,500 could be worthy of a shout, right? He just went off for 24 fantasy points last game. Like, that's not bad at all, right? You throw in Haywood Highsmith in there. I don't love him, but like 4,100 of back-to-back games with decent performance. Like, this is the path to getting stars and scrubs, right? Is to kind of dip into that. Not that you'll have to do it a ton, especially if we get value in these later games, but like if you did want to take a swing and you thought, let's say you thought Jimmy Butler was in and Michael Porter Jr. were in, that would make like a guy like Jovic just slightly better. But you covered everything else.
Yeah, Rubio, real quick on Jovic, because like he's one I kind of overlooked. I will say someone in the Discord chat mentioned him last game, and I kind of laughed at it, and I was wrong. 25 or 20 is like, I think it was 25 minutes I'm seeing, 24.6 on Popcorn. Duncan Robinson played 12, Pele played 10, and then Haywood Highsmith played 26. I will call out, like, some of those Jovic minutes could go back to Ware, who only played 19, right? They could. I'm not saying they will. I'm just talking it through. And then I do think you could see Haywood Highsmith get that aggressive, like 33 or 35 minutes. Like, that's certainly not out of the realm of possibility. So, like, Jovic is fine, but, like, keep in mind, we might get way better values later, right? And, like, that's the risk that you're kind of taking. And I don't know. It's something to think about. I don't want too much of him, right? Like, in a single entry, do I want to play him? Probably not. Like, I just think it's a little risky. So that's kind of where I'm at, Rubio. I'm way more. I think it's more of a shaky play than I think. Like, you see 23 minutes, 25 minutes, and you're like, oh, like, if he gets that again, I'm interested. And, like, I agree, but I think it's shakier than people might realize.
So, Slate, I like this. I like this discourse here. DeMarcus, Duncan Robinson, minus 17 in his 11 minutes last game, right? 12 minutes last game. The worst of the team by far, right? Terrible, okay? Highsmith, I'm gonna do this. I'd much rather have Jovic over Highsmith, right? Because if you look at Jovic, 4 for 12 shooting, 1 for 8 from downtown. All right, you look at Highsmith, 6 for 7 shooting, 5 of 6 from downtown. One had a ceiling performance. One could have easily had 33, 34 fantasy points if the shots were falling, right? I know that's, what it could have, should have, whatever like that. I think Jovic offers a lot more upside than a guy like Highsmith. And the one question I will ask you, Mangone, is the path to 30, 35, 36 minutes for a guy like Highsmith or Jovic. I don't think that happens, but it can only come at Ware's expense because you cannot continue to tax Wiggins' minutes. I just don't think that's possible.
That's the other thing I want to bring up. Wiggins only played 28, so why couldn't Jovic go to 15 and they put Wiggins up to like 36 or 40? Like, absolutely. The point I'm getting at is, like, that Jovic play is way more shakier than I think people might realize. Like, just because he came back and he, magically played 25 does not mean he's going to play that again. I wouldn't be shocked if he played 25, but I would bet the under on those minutes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I think it's a way shakier play. And to your Duncan Robinson point, he's not playing good, but Rubio, the time to play Duncan Robinson, or like if you're Eric Spoelstra, is when you're down 2-0 and you're losing these games and he gets hot from three-pointer, right? He's going to get his chance. He's going to get his first crack at the rotation. They're going to run, a horns drag for him. He's going to shoot it up. And if it goes in and he gets hot,
you want my
he's going
counter?
to end up being plus like 6. So
he and Hero cannot be on the court at the same time at all. That's the one counterpoint. I don't see his minutes increasing even close.
I'm not saying they're increasing. I'm just saying he's not DNPing. That's the point I was getting at.
Yeah, that's probably right.
And those 8 minutes to 12 minutes, they matter for someone like a Jovic or a Highsmith. Like, they matter a ton.
All right, man, going. It's time to talk about the Grizzlies. Okay. This John Morant news, right? Like, obviously getting rolled out, 3-0. They're down. Last game, this is the backbreaker was last game, right? You're up 29 points and you end up losing by 6. Just a rough showing from everyone. Zach Edey, another game under 30 minutes for him. Jaren Jackson Jr., Desmond Bane. I feel like Jaren Jackson Jr. went off in the first half and then just absolutely died in the second half. Desmond Bane has been struggling all series with this matchup. It's been just a nightmare matchup for him. You look at potentially what the Grizzlies could do here. I think the path is they're just going to start Kennard. I don't think it's going to be really anyone else. I think it's just got to be Kennard here. His shooting upside, his offensive upside is just elite, right? I think for 3,100, you almost have to hit the lock button on him if he starts, right? As far as the other guys go, like I think Scottie Pippen Jr. is going to be a great play at 5,400. I mean, if you did, sorting by projected score, you're going to see 4 or 5, maybe even 6 Grizzlies in a lineup, right? And that's just the reality of it, right? You got all these guys without the Grizzlies' best player, all priced down still significantly. My thing here, Mango, is that the Oklahoma City Thunder are still a really good defensive team. Is there leverage to just give me the value and run out and get studs in other places? Or are you taking the challenge head on, being like, you know what, I'll pay $7,100 for Desmond Bane, which, again, not a bad click. He's going to get all the usage in the world, right? Like, he's going to be the number one guy in the offense for the Grizzlies. Man, really rough showing last time, even without John Morant for half the game. 10, 8, and 4. He had 2 steals and a block at least to kind of help him suffice. But again, 3 for 14 shooting. This has just been the theme when you go against OKC, especially when they're at their peak, right? This is when they're trying their hardest. It becomes a little bit more difficult to score against them. But I don't know, man. Going, like, I think I want to cap myself with like 4 or 5 Grizzlies, like 4 Grizzlies. I don't know if you agree. I think you can go up to 5, but like I want 4 personally because I think there's a lot of good spots in other games. And if you do go 5, are you preventing yourself from potentially winning a tournament by just too much exposure to one team? What do you think?
I'm not playing 5. I don't ever play 5. I'm actually more aggressive on that, I think, than other people are. I might do max 3. The only reason I wouldn't do max 3 is Luke Kennard at 3-1 if he is the starting guard, right? Like, I'm not saying it's a free square, but like a starting point guard at 3-1 is really hard to argue with. That's going to play 30 plus minutes, especially when and keep in mind, people don't like Luke Kennard, right? I know Big T likes to make fun of Luke Kennard. He makes fun of me when I play him in like March DFS. Luke Kennard is not a fun roster, right? But this dude is a European coach. He's like a European champion. He plays his white dudes, man. I'm just being honest. He plays Zach Edey. He likes these guys. They fit Euroball. If Luke Kennard wanted to go play Euroball till he was 50, he could go fit in there and play great. Like, I'm just being honest. So the point I'm getting at is I don't care what you think watching. I don't care what I think watching. I know the coach wants to play Luke Kennard. So I'm going to play Luke Kennard. You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to be very well overweight. He's 3.1K starting point guard. I think you have to play him. And if not, your alternatives are John Conchar and Vince Williams. And to be honest, Vince Williams ain't playing. You know what I mean? Like, I like Vince Williams. I don't think he's a bad basketball player. feels like he's similar to kind of Zaire Williams, who's now, used to be there. But it just, this is not a spot where he's going to get run. John Conchar, maybe he starts and they do point Desmond Bane, maybe, but I'll make my adjustments when that happens. So, I'm definitely interested, though, in Luke Kennard, obviously. Scottie Pippen, you got to make a case for him, too, at 5.4K. We have seen him bust in this series. Listen, if this game just gets completely out of control, he could bust at 5.4, but we'll see. Jaren Jackson, Santi Aldama, Bane, all those guys are definitely really good and in play for me. And then Zach Edey at 5.3. Listen, I do not want to play Zach Edey. The minutes are luckily they did go up last game. They went up to 29. I will say at 5.3, you're in a tough spot where you kind of have to consider it, right? Especially with them missing guys. It's brutal to have to decide, but I want to be lower on him, I think, because there's just better ways I can build my lineups. There's a lot of good options. So for me, Luke Kennard is number one by a mile, I would say. Then it's probably Scottie Pippen, followed by Jaren Jackson or Bane. But I'm max 3, Rubio. I feel very confident going max 3 and being okay with it. That'll also help me be a little. I'm cautious with the Grizzlies today. I think 4 is too much. I could be wrong. 4 could easily work, I think, in single entry and stuff like that. I'm not going to disagree with that, but I'm trying to win. We're talking about the flagship, right? I'm trying to win that one. And when I'm trying to win that, I'm okay with going 3 because then there's a lot of other options that we can mix and match. I think the Grizzlies kind of get blown out pretty bad, where that's going to open up some opportunity for some OKC guys. Daniel Aldama is definitely a good play. I like him as well at 4.8K. So don't ignore that. I know people are saying Sabres jamming 7 Grizzlies right now. Give it a chance and it'll adjust a little bit. If I do decide to play 4 Grizzlies, I'll say this. I will let people know in Discord chat. I will let the members know, but I am planning on 3. I will have to fight the optimizer, Rubio. Yeah. Throw it on your face. I'm going to have to fight the optimizer, right?
I'm just looking at it, man, going I was trying to talk myself. Oh, you can't go 5, 4. It's going to be tough to not get 4, right?
Well, it's not that hard, Rubio. You X the 4. You just go to the 4s and you X all of that. That's what you do, and then it's done. But I know you're going to have to fight the optimizer.
You're going to have to fight it. I will say this, too. I don't really love Jaren Jackson Jr. I think I'd rather have Bane over him. I don't know if you're in agreement. What do you think, straight up Bane or Jackson Jr.?
Yeah, I lean Bane over Jaren Jackson if I have to pick.
I don't get it with Jaren, man. I don't think he's just got the offensive upside really at all. I think that just comes down to it. And you're going against Chet and Hartenstein. It's just not great.
It's not just that. So matchup's not good, but it's also once Zach Edey came into the mix where he was just getting a more prominent role in the offense. Yeah. You're not getting Jaren Jackson Jr. at the 5 minutes as strong, right? They're just not. That is when you want to play him the most, right? When it's when we're playing DFS and we see Jaren Jackson starting at the 5, we're oh, this is a great spot for his upside. As long as he keeps his hands to himself, he's going to crush. Jaren Jackson versus the Golden State Warriors. It's always a good spot for him, even if it's against Draymond Green. So, I do think I'm in agreement on that. I'll shift over to OKC. We got to play roulette, which, not my favorite game to play, but it's.
Can I beat you to this point here real quick?
Please, you can talk about it because I don't want to.
OKC plays, especially in a game where they're up 3-0, they're not going to push SGA or Jalen or Chet to the brink, right? They're just not going to do that. And I think you're in agreement with me too. I think we see OKC kind of handling this. I think the minute ceilings are capped for those guys just a little bit. All right, and that's just the reality of it with these studs. With a guy like Jokic, who's down 2-1, I can see Jokic playing 45 minutes. I don't see Shea passing 40 minutes today, and I think there's even a good chance he's down to 36, 38 range, right? And those matter. Every minute matters for these studs. And we just talked about all this Grizzlies value that you want to get, right? Kennard, Aldama, Scottie Pippen. You could even throw in guys like Conchar, but then you have Bane who's too cheap or whatever. Why the hell would you want to pay $4,700 for Dort? Or why the hell would you want to pay $4,500 for Caruso? You just have so many mouths that could be fed here in this OKC offense. I mean, you look at it last game, man, going, you legitimately had, 11 guys played. I know that a couple of those guys were only 2 minutes at a time and stuff, right? But, you legitimately had 11 guys off that bench 2 days ago. Caruso got there with Stocks, but in reality, almost no one really fulfilled their fantasy tag outside Caruso and Jalen Williams. I mean, that was 114 points. It wasn't like it was a subpar performance. And if I'm not going to be interested in Shea at 9,900 here tonight, because I think his minutes are going to be just slightly scaled back, not to the degree that it's going to be insane, but I think Jokic and those studs are way better. It just comes out to it that I don't really like any of these OKC guys. I think you might agree, though.
Yeah, it's tough. I agree with everything you said with the studs. I think you worded it perfectly with talking about like the other studs that are going to play a pile of minutes. So I agree. Studs I want to be lower on. The problem with OKC, Rubio, is I could see one of these guys being on the winner. I just don't know which one, right? Like that's the problem. And Caleb, you mentioned it, it's the Isaiah Joes and the Aaron Wiggins. Aaron Wiggins played 6 minutes last game. And if I told you Aaron Wiggins would play 6 minutes last game, you would probably tell me I was crazy, right? 6 doesn't make a lot of sense for him, but that's the point. They just mix and match guys like Casey Wallace, 24 minutes, Caruso, 23, Isaiah Joe, 15. There's no rhyme or reason. It's whoever's the hot hand. I mean, Caruso is the guy that I feel fairly confident in. He's clearly brought in for the playoffs. So I was like, all year long, I was like, this guy never plays in the fourth. Like, do they actually like him? Like, why'd they even trade for him? Let's see what happens when the playoffs come. Dude, first time he got out there in the playoffs, I was like, okay, they're using him for the playoffs. You know what I mean? Like, they clearly like him. They brought him in for a reason. It's all true. So I like Caruso at 4-5. He's definitely a good play. After that, it's either Wallace or Joe. But, like, again, do I want to play those guys or do I want to play Luke Kennard? It's why, like, when I probably am fighting the optimizer later, Rubio, I'm not really considering Luke Kennard as, like, a fourth Grizzly possibly. Like, that might be the one guy I don't consider as a fourth. If you tell me I play 4 Grizzlies and not Luke Kennard, I'd tell you that's probably crazy. But, yeah, that's all I'm getting at is, like Joe and Wallace, they're just tougher guys to get excited about and click, especially if we have, like, you know, some value opening up on the Nuggets shortly. And not only that, like, we have other cheap guys on the Clippers. Like, I've been playing Nick Batum a ton. I'll admit I haven't looked at his price yet, but man,
keep bashing Nick Batum, bro. It's been like so easy in Showdown. Like he was the cheap captain for me last game, and I didn't have a great lineup.
I'm not bashing him, Rubio. I load up on him every single time. Also, I'll bash the cheap captain.
I'm not bashing him in. Bashing him in.
Oh, okay.
Hey, real quick though, I do want to address this too. This isn't like the regular season though. Like a blowout only affects the last 3-4 minutes of a game. Right, unless this is a 40-point blowout or whatever, I don't think you're going to see much at all from these guys here in terms of I don't think Wiggins gets more than 13, 14 minutes even in a blowout. So you just got to temper those expectations on these guys. The blowout situation is a factor, right, for Showdown. And Big T would know this because he played Zeke Naji last Showdown slate for the Nuggets and ended up winning with it because Zeke Naji was 1% owned. Jalen Pickett was 13% owned. I think it's more relevant in Showdown rather than the classic slate, though, here today.
Yeah, and he didn't play Batum captain like you did, so he won because I don't know why.
I did pretty well.
You probably did. I hate your cheap captains. I'm with Big T on this one. I absolutely hate that crap. But I like Nick Batum as a value. We'll get to that. But point I'm getting at with OKC is I just hate these. I hate these kind of guys on the slates because it just feels like roulette. So for me, I don't take really strong stands on these guys. I don't slam them onto my teams. I try to figure out how, what am I comfortable with? Which ones am I comfortable with going over or under on? Caruso, I'm comfortable going over on, right? If you told me I have to go over on him, I would go over on him and be happy about it. If you force me to pick after that, obviously Lou Dort, we didn't talk about him at 4.7. He's probably the next best kind of value on OKC. Then it's probably Joe and Wallace. That would probably be the way I rank them. But again, I kind of want to be lower on OKC today. We're in agreement on that, Rubio. Of course, you're going to want to load up on Memphis. One thing, too, if you are playing with an optimizer like our partner SaberSim, got to be a little careful about them jamming in OKC as run backs a little bit on a shorter slate, Rubio. For me personally, I might even not make a rule, but I always sometimes I take out the stacks. If I'm getting 3 OKC, that's too many. I might X those out, right? I might keep it to 2 or 1 OKC and then call it a day. Because again, there's other spots that I like, and I get it. At the end of the day, Lou Dort could be on the winner. Isaiah Joe, Aaron Wiggins, these guys could be on the winner. but it's very hard to predict. So for me, though, it's clearly Alex Caruso, number 1, Dort 2, Joe 3, Wallace 4. That'll be my rankings. And then the studs I don't really want to play. Memphis, my rankings will be Luke Kennard 1, Pippen 2, Aldama 3, Bane 4, Jackson 5, Edie 6. So that's my rankings.
I like it, man. I'm with you there here, and I think it's safe to move on from this OKC game into the game of the day. Denver Nuggets taking on the Los Angeles Clippers. Oh, boy. I was disappointed. I was very
disappointed. Real quick. Cut you off. Sorry. Do not play for blowout, right? Can we stress this one more time? Yeah. Like, if you want to build for blowout on your, like, couple teams, you better build the whole thing for it, right? Like, the entire thing. Like, if you're going to play Jalen Williams, you may as well play Aaron Wiggins because you're basically assuming that they're going to, like, blow them out, and SGA is playing, like, I don't know, like 18 first-half minutes. Like, it's the playoffs. Do not play for blowout. The Grizzlies are at home on top of that. That game that we saw where they blew them out, there were only 2 other games that I think were, like, that they were, like, blowing them out by, like, 50+, and it was, like, the Lakers and the St. Louis whatever back in 1960 and Denver against the Pelicans in 2009. Like, this is not a spot to play for blowout. I get the Grizzlies are not that great, but do not play for blowout to play OKC, guys. It's too egregious.
I agree. Do not play for blowout in the playoffs unless it's Showdown and you're angling for the last 4 or 5 minutes there.
And it's a 4-game slate. It's not a 2-game slate. This is not the spot to do it.
All right, man, the first thing that I did when I got to this Nuggets game is I bumped up Jokic's projection from an egregious 59 up to 70 because I think that's just truly the reality of how we have to project Jokic. And you look at his 2 most recent games, right? 65 and 64. In game 1, he had 67. It's egregious to have his projection anywhere below 60. We'll fix that here very shortly, I assume. But also, what you saw last game, man, blowout, right? 37 minutes affected his minutes. Could have easily have been a 70 burger from him. But I think you're going to see Jokic maybe rest one time today, man. I just don't see – I see a path to 44, 45 minutes here at all. I genuinely believe that Jokic should be the top projected on the slate by a mile, and it shouldn't even be close. And what that does, man, well, what does it do? It forces in Luke Kennard. It forces in even Santi Aldama and Scottie Pippen. But really, you can still get really good teams with it. I mean, really good teams. Davion Mitchell's in this one along with 4 Grizzlies. This is where the 4 Grizzlies becomes a little bit of a factor, man, right? If you went down to 3, could you fit in Jokic as easily as this? And I think if I really like Jokic, which I do, getting those Grizzlies in just makes so much sense from a projected score standpoint. What do you think about the Nuggets outside of Jokic, though? Because in reality, I mean, Jamal Murray is going to be fine. I mean, 7,400 is not a bad tag at all. You know, the usage is going to funnel through those 2 guys. But also the MPJ news, right, where you're just kind of waiting on him, right? If he is out, how does that affect your take on this Nuggets team? Does a guy like Peyton Watson become, a mega factor? Does a guy like Russell Westbrook at 5,100? How important do those guys become, and does that make your Grizzlies a max of 3 potentially much easier?
Well, yeah, because like we have a couple injuries we're worrying about, right? It's like Westbrook too is one we're a little worried about, and like honestly, Westbrook could play hurt and be terrible. Like I always talk about this with Westbrook, like when Westbrook's hurt, he typically plays and then he's typically like actually hurts the team because he's like a grinder, right? He goes out there and he battles, and he's the type of guy like you don't actually know when it comes in, you don't actually know if he's actually healthy because he won't play through anything. So this could be a great spot for Christian Brown, right? He could gain a huge role if both those guys are out or even one. So at 5'3", I mean, he could play 40+ minutes. I mean, he's gonna be needed to, as long as he doesn't foul out, right? Jamal Murray at 7'4", that's way too cheap for Jamal Murray. I mean, playoff Jamal Murray, I'm in on that. I love it at 7'4", so I'm gonna be overweight on him. Aaron Gordon at 6K. Listen, he's been shooting a lot better this season and making those he's making elbow threes. The corner 3 he can make now. Like they might have to lean on him more offensively. And there was a game earlier this season, and I probably would have shipped if I played more Aaron Gordon. He had like literally an all-time game and like went absolutely nuts from 3-point line. He's going to be needed offensively in this game. I'm not saying he's going to make the shots, Rubio, but the opportunity is there. At 6K, he has the ability to break the slate and get 40 DK points tonight and play 40-plus minutes. So Aaron Gordon at 6K is in play. I still don't even talk about Jokic at 11.5. He's the best spend on this slate. I want to jam him in there. So for me, if I had to rank him, Rubio, I go Jokic 1, Murray 2. And then it's probably Gordon 3 and then Brown 4. I will say if, let's say, one of Westbrook or Porter sits, those guys are going to be low owned. And if only one plays and one sits, that could be a boost for the other guy. And at just no ownership, they could be a really strong play. So that's something to watch for. And then I still haven't talked about the Peyton Watsons and the Zeke Nanajis. Rance, I'm with you. I think those guys are better for Showdown. I don't think they're bad plays on the main slate, but I would like both guys to be out, right? Like it would help if Westbrook and Porter were out because I do worry about those guys closing. Like I could easily see if one of those guys is in, I could see a Zeke or a Watson start and then just not close at all. They could close, but there is that risk to think about. So those guys are fine. Luke Kennard is clearly a way better play if he's starting than those guys. But yeah, I'm with you on that, Rubio. I think we agree on a lot of it. I saw you shaking your head. Let me touch on the Clippers quick, and then you can talk about what you're doing there. Kawhi, 8-4, Zubac, 7-9, Harden, 8-9, all good studs that you can get exposure to. I think they're all in play in single entry and MME formats. Norman Powell at 5-6, I'm not super excited about. Chris Dunn at 4-1, I still think he's in play. Nick Batum at 3-4, I think he's in play. Even a Derek Jones Jr., it's not crazy, but I prefer other cheaper values that we've already discussed. Like probably rather get an Isaiah Joe in there. But for me, Batum and Dunn are clearly good values that I want to have exposure to. And then I want to get exposure to Leonard, Zubac, and Harden is like the studs. So that's kind of how I have it. And I want to make sure I have Denver, right? One of these guys might miss. And even if they don't miss, like I wouldn't be shocked if MPJ just sits in the corner and isn't doing as much because maybe he's just playing through an injury and trying his best to battle. And that's still going to funnel usage to these other guys. So those core 4 Nuggets in Jokic, Murray, Gordon, and Brown, I want to be well overweight on in a must-win game.
Going to just pose you a question real quick. Nikola Jovic or Nick Batum? I think it's Batum.
I think it's Batum as well. I think
just throw this out there. It's the same freaking role, right? It's the same role. You have 24 minutes. I think the 24 minutes for Batum are significantly safer than Jovic's 24 minutes from last game, right? Like I think Batum's role is just so locked in 24 minutes, while Jovic, like you said, could be 8, could be 15, it could be 24 again, right?
Yes.
But yeah, I just thought that
Batum has a real role on this offense, like on this team. Like, and some playoff games, maybe it won't make sense, but like, dude, he's a very good role player, and for his price, you can't ignore him, especially if you want to go a very stars and scrubs route.
And real quick, I think Peyton Watson is their best option defensively right now against Kawhi. And I know Tony mentioned this in his last show because that's why he played Najee to begin with. But look, I think Peyton Watson, if MPJ was ruled out, if Russ Westbrook was ruled out, I think Peyton Watson would be the starter and be one of the best value plays on the slate. It would take both of them being out, but I think he's even playable if only one of them is out. I mean, you saw 18 minutes last game. Michael Porter Jr. was very poor in his showing, 2 for 9 shooting, only 7 points. I think they need Peyton Watson out there more to begin with. I know that you have guys like the Denver beat reporters and stuff, kind of talking about how Peyton Watson could be a better fit here too. But I just think if you just went that route, I mean, Peyton Watson's just an athlete. He obviously was a minus 29 last game, which wasn't great, but I don't know. I think there's a path to someone like this. This is why I would much rather play a Peyton Watson over a blowout guy any day of the week, because you also get this pricing in Showdown where he's only like 3,400 in Showdown too, which is actually more expensive than Batum, if you can believe that or not, Mangone. And you also look at it here. I mean, he 3,500, right? So he's actually more expensive on the classic slate as well. I will be very interested in Peyton Watson if that is the case. I don't know. I'm kind of leaning that Westbrook misses now, Mangone. Rolling his ankle pregame last time out, only playing 8-9 minutes last game, 1 for 5 shooting. I think there's going to be minutes to be had on this Denver bench, and it will be interesting to kind of approach. AP, the problem with is Peyton Watson and Zeke Najee suck. Peyton Watson's going to ball out today. You know who tabbed Peyton Watson to be really good? Paul George. And that guy, he used to be good. All right, man.
Yeah, he's a professional podcaster. So he's like us, Rubio. He knows what he's talking about.
Yeah, he knows what he's talking about. Clippers side, and Harden has been cooking. You saw it last game. Well, was it the first quarter that Harden had like 13, 14 real points and then just kind of coasted because they didn't really have to utilize him. Kawhi Leonard in game 2 was just absolutely incredible. I mean, it felt like every shot he put up was going in. I say that because I faded Kawhi Leonard in game 2. It just absolutely killed me to watch him just hit shot after shot. Last game, slow start, still ends up with the most fantasy points in the Clippers, which crazy to think about. I mean, really, I don't know, Mangone. I just think that I want the Nuggets to win. I can tell you this. I'm not clicking Norman Powell's name at 5,600. I don't care how good he projects. You're asking me to play the fourth option at almost 6K? Hell no. He was really good early on in the season when Kawhi Leonard and them weren't there for fantasy. No, he's still a really good player. Don't get me wrong. But I'm not clicking a fourth option for 5,600 and expecting to get away with it because it's not like he's like Davion Mitchell where Davion Mitchell is going to have 18 potential assists like we saw last game, right? It's just catch and shoot threes only. Like his role is significantly different than other fourth options too. It's going to be watching Harden and Kawhi pound the ball into the ground and get a good shot up, and hopefully he can catch some corner threes. But yeah, I'm not doing that personally at all. One last note, Jokic, lock him in. I'm locking him in. This is a must-win game for Denver. They can't afford to go down 3-1. 44, 45 minutes. I mean, that's not a stand that's going to be any special or anything like that. He's projecting for 17% right now. I think that's absurdly wrong. Bash him in.
Here's a good question. Luke Kennard's on the slate, so if he's a starting point guard at 3-1, he's going to be, he helps you easily get Jokic. Would you be locking Jokic even if you didn't have Luke Kennard today?
Yes, because I look at 75 fantasy points, and you heard me what I said, right, about Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. I don't think he gets past 40 minutes. I think Jokic has a chance to play 44, 45 minutes today, right? If you wanted to go ahead and say, well, what about the Clippers studs? Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
Why they're fine, okay? But then go to the Warriors side, right? Even if Jimmy Butler's in, but you only have Curry, who's just in hell right now with how they're approaching him defensively. Like his ceiling just isn't even close to Jokic.
Well, he's in hell because they're doubling him. But
exactly. That's what I mean.
If Butler's back, they can't double him.
Correct. And really, you don't really have any other options to spend up for, right? And if you want to do a balanced build, go ahead. I'll take the best player in the history of the game at the center position, and I'll happily do it. Right? You give me this tag. I mean, 11.5 is cheap for Jokic. 11.5 is cheap for a guy who's just going to go out there and play. He got 63 fantasy points in 37 minutes last game, and that was because they got blown out. Didn't play the last 6 minutes. So, yeah, I would lock Jokic in any circumstance tonight.
Yeah, Caleb, I wasn't saying, not fading. I'm wondering if he's a lock button. That's all. And I'm not disagreeing with you. The more I look at it, like I'm looking at the pricing and thinking it through. The only thing is, like, there's definitely like I'm trying to think of constructions that could make sense. And it would be like, if you have like a Harden, a Donovan Mitchell, Tyler Hero, it's like just more of those secondary guys, like price guys. That could definitely work. I don't think it's crazy, but I'll say this: I want to be overweight on Jokic. I don't know if I'm locking him, but like I'm definitely gonna have a lot. So.
Yep, 100%. Big T says Watson and Zeke are going to bring us the bread with a road dub tonight. I would be looking forward to that. I'll say this real quick, just talk about this. I don't think Westbrook sits because he rolled his ankle. Basically sat last game, 9 minutes, right? Like he basically that for us, that's sitting, right? And I'm kind of curious to see if that'll be the case here. And I wonder what Adelman does to approach it as well. Oh, give me a break, guys. Jokic is number one, and it's not even close. You can have your Kareem. You can have your Olajuwons. You can have anything you want. Jokic is number one. What we have seen from him is the greatest stretch of basketball from any individual in history. And you know what? He could be number one overall, not just at the center position. And we'll move past that, though. We'll move on to the Rockets and the Warriors. I mentioned last game, Mango, and I was very happy. This is why I had such a good day in Showdown. I was very high on Jalen Green. one of these two guards are going to chuck for the Rockets. Because why, Mangone? Because no one else can create their own shot on the Rockets. So it comes down to the fact that both Fred VanVleet and Jalen Green both have to take a significant amount of the usage because guys like Amen Thompson, guys like Dylan Brooks aren't really capable of that. Sengun is very much capable of it, but he's a center. You know how guards run the league nowadays and stuff. But I think Jalen Green is underprojected personally. I think that I know he went off for a ceiling performance with 61. I know that the Butler matchup, with him going out, helped Jalen Green just a bit too. But in reality, I still think that these Rockets guards are still going to have some potential here. I think Amen Thompson, you saw it last game too. What was it? The foul trouble for both him and Brooks kind of really affected this rotation a little bit too. So with Amen Thompson, I think he is also underprojected too. I think you're going to have do-it-all guys in this game. We saw Steven Adams. He was a great play in the first game one on the Classic and Showdown slate. I think he's less so here because the price has gotten up to 3,800, but you see them wanting to run these two center lineups quite a bit. But also what Ime Udoka did, he did run a zero center lineup with Jabari Smith Jr. as the center there for a little bit last game, which was an interesting wrinkle that we hadn't seen. We saw the double big, and then we saw the no big, which was interesting. Warriors side, Mangone, let's just play it like this. I think Jimmy Butler plays. What do you think? I just want your answer. What do you think he does?
I think he plays. I did see two reports. I saw he was in serious doubt for the series, and then I saw he's like not likely to play for this game, but like there's a better chance. So the dude battles. I assume he plays. I don't know what he's going to be like. They did say that when he had the tailbone injury a while back, he battled through it and put up like 40 and 50 points. So wouldn't be surprised if he kind of finds a way to do that again. I'll just say this. He won't be owned, right? He's going to be like, because it's the last game. Like if you wanted to get like a 5% share of him, I don't think it's crazy in tournaments. Curry at 9K, it's clearly a spot where they're going to need him. He's at home. It's going to help him, right? Shooters at home get an increase. You get the best shooter of all time in a playoff game. That matters a lot. So, I do think he's a good play as a stud spend. Let me finish on Golden State. So, if Jimmy's out, Kuminga becomes a really good play at 4.2K. He would start. He becomes a good play. We don't know if that's –
Would he start?
Yes, he started the second half.
I know. I don't know if Kerr would go to him. I just don't. I'm really curious about that too because I think Kerr is going to do anything, right? And you know what? I don't love Kerr. I think he's been below average, but hey, he got that second ring without Katie, or that second ring. He got that ring in what was it, 2021 or whatever. I can't criticize him too much, but I don't think he wants to go to Kuminga here starting. I think he'd rather do. Like Pat Spencer in there just to prove a point.
If you watch the last game in the interview at the end of the first quarter that they do, he was asked, they said, I know you haven't seen Jimmy Butler yet, but like, what are you going to do with his status? Like, what's the plan basically? And he said, Kuminga's got to be ready. He's going to be in there a lot. Like he literally, that's the first thing he said. So like, Kuminga replaces Jimmy Butler's role. I feel very confident with that is what they are going to do. So if Butler misses, Kuminga would become a way better play, in my opinion. I get it. It's Steve Kerr. You never know. But I feel very confident Kuminga would start. If I end up being wrong, I end up being wrong. But I think Kuminga starts. But I think he starts if Butler's out. The problem is we don't know this. I'm not planning for it, right? But I'm just calling out. If as we get closer to the game time and these other games haven't locked and you think Butler sits, Kuminga becomes a really good play and won't really be owned at 4.2K. You can also plan for it and put him at the forward spot and then play Moses Moody, who's going to start, right? That's certainly a guy you can get to. Gary Payton, I know he's dealing with an injury at 3.5K. Could easily be a good spot for Moses Moody if he's out. Buddy Hield could get a boost at 3.3, but I'm not feeling super confident. And another thing to call out is like, do you want to play Buddy Hield? Do you want to play the better values on this slate? I probably just want to play the better values on the slate. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think I want to gamble on waiting on some weird news that's going to help make Buddy Hield a little bit better. Podziemski was dealing with that illness at 5.8K. I do think they are going to need him more, so I think he is definitely in play as well. And then Draymond's fine at 6.2, but I'd rather Aaron Gordon, the Christian Browns, and a lot of other plays we talked about. I've been high on Draymond, I think, so far in this series, and he hasn't been great, but I think there's better plays in this range, so I'm not super excited about him. So for me, it's Curry, Podziemski, Moody, and like if you wanted to gamble on the Kuminga, you could, but I don't think it's worth gambling on. And then the Rockets side of the ball, Rubio, we have some similar opinions, some different opinions. We agree on Jalen Green. I think he's underpriced. They need him a ton. We disagree on Amen Thompson. I think he's overpriced right now. You said underprojected. I do not agree with that. So I'm not excited about Amen Thompson. For me, it's Jalen Green and Fred VanVleet. Van Vliet's price kind of feels like bait, but it's bait. I'm probably going to fall into it 6K. So I don't think he's terrible. But Jalen Green's the best play, followed by Şengün. It's probably Jalen Green and Şengün are my two favorite plays. Tari Eason, he did get a price decrease to 4.8. Dylan Brooks is 4.5. You could make a case in MME. You could sprinkle them in there, but these are not single entry guys I want to get exposure to, or even a Jabari Smith Jr. I do like Steven Adams at 3.8. I know he wasn't great last game, but I could see them going back to him. So for me, the rankings are Jalen Green 1, Şengün 2, maybe Steven Adams 3, but you can make the argument that we might have just too good a value where you don't need a Steven Adams today. So it's really Green and Şengün. I'm not trying to mix and match too many of these Rockets. I think the Warriors win tonight. So yeah.
Yeah, I just want to make a mention, like on Easton and stuff. He was a huge beneficiary of the foul trouble for both Amen Thompson and Dylan Brooks, which could easily happen again tonight, the way they're approaching this defensive matchup against Curry. But yeah, it's like one of those things too with the Rockets. I almost wanted to kind of take last game with a slight grain of salt just because of the minutes, right? Where Dylan Brooks and Amen Thompson were both really early in the foul trouble with like 3-4 fouls very early on into the first half and second half there where it affected them. I did like this approach here from AP too. Like if you were truly leaning, is Jimmy Butler going to be in or out? Dylan Brooks is not a bad click at 4,500, right? Not a bad click at all.
I don't mind him.
You swap to Jonathan Kuminga if Butler was out, like you were saying. Like you're pretty confident that Kuminga, and I like that. You mentioned the end of the quarter interview too. That is very good kind of insight to have. So that's good to kind of note there. I will say this, you're a Packers fan. Aaron Rodgers used to sling it on Percocets. Do we get to see Jimmy Butler kind of pull out his Aaron Rodgers performance here tonight, Mango?
I mean, Jimmy does that, so I think so. I think Jimmy plays and he battles through. If he doesn't play, I wouldn't be surprised if he was just like, I need another game, and like we'll go out and win game 4 at worst case. So I could see that kind of happen. But I do like the Dylan Brooks idea from AP because to be honest, Dylan Brooks has tournament winning upside at 4-5, yes. Right? As long as he hits his shots, obviously I would prefer him hitting those shots at home just because that you want to lean on that, but. That's definitely a good strategy if you want to go about it that way. So, I don't hate the Dylan Brooks idea. But yeah.
It's crazy, man. My favorite team in the optimizer right now leaves 4,800 for a forward. And it's a really good team. I like it. And who fits that? Dylan Brooks.
He does. How many Grizzlies does that team have?
4.
Yeah, redo.
And this is the one thing that we talked about. I'm going to talk about roster construction here, Eric. I'll go ahead and just.
I actually want you to talk about it, Rubio, because my comment was going to be I don't know exactly what to do with roster construction because it could change throughout the slate.
Yes. Look, you guys know my opinion on Jokic. I think I'd lock him in today, right? That's just my personal opinion. If you don't do it, you can lose money. No, I'm just kidding. And I think that at minimum, it's probably going to be 3 Grizzlies. It's probably going to be 4 Grizzlies for me. I'm not going to go above 4 of them, right? And I think you're in agreement with that, Mango. I think it caps your tournament winning upside a little bit. A lot of people are going to play 5. I'd rather just gamble with 4. You're going to have 4 very good plays to click from, right? Like Kennard, Pippen, those are 2 of the best, right? Then you have Aldama, Jaren Jackson, Bane. Right, those are kind of in the next tier for me, and the reason why those, Jackson and Bane, despite projecting really well in that in the next tier for me, is because OKC could clamp them, could kind of get them out of the way early. Right, this Grizzlies team, all of a sudden, it's a 25-point game in the fourth quarter. You don't see the full potential of Bane and Jaren Jackson. Right, that's why I'm approaching it with 4 Grizzlies. You're very much in the same boat too, where you want to get upside in other places, right? Not just play the same thing that everyone else is, because everyone else is going to have 4 or 5 Grizzlies. And you talk about having 3 Grizzlies potentially, which is a little more aggressive, but I mean, it's potentially good, right?
Yeah, I don't want to have like 4 Grizzlies and Jokic, and then I'm playing roulette with my 3 other spots, right? Like that seems that's just like, I mean, just talking about that roster construction alone, that just seems stupid, right? Like I get it, it's the single entry move. I would assume the single entry move would be Luke Kennard with 3 of the 4 of Bane, Jackson, Aldama, and Scottie Pippen, and then Jokic, and then like roulette with the rest of the plays. I don't want to do that. I don't think that's the right way to go about it. Another thing I'm probably doing for roster construction, I'm MMEing and I'm taking it game by game, right? Like of course I'm going to make sure like, hey, at the end of the night, I need to have the exposure to get to Jokic. Like I'll definitely make sure that is taken care of before the slate starts, but I'm going to deal with my exposures as the games go through. So you could do too what AP said. Like I might like playing a little bit of Dylan Brooks so I can switch it to a Kuminga if I want to, and then I'm just stuck with the Dylan Brooks, and that's okay. It's not the end of the world. But I'm taking it very much like game by game, and I want to make sure this first game I'm not too overweight on, but I want to have exposure to those certain guys that I talked about earlier. Like Davion Mitchell's an overweight play in that first game for me, right? Like definitely. Bam Adebayo, Hero, and Donovan Mitchell are the 3 studs that I like. I don't know if I'll be overweight on them both, but like those are guys I definitely want exposure to. The rest aren't necessary, right? Sure, I can mix in some Ty Jeromes and these other guys. They're fine, but like those are really the priorities for me in that first game.
Absolutely, man. Going just kind of further talk about roster construction here. I think like you can have a build with 1 stud, Jokic, and then you could even go the rest mid tier. I think with Kennard there at 3,100, that becomes a very viable path, right? If you consider anyone under 9K mid tier, but if you also want to throw in a guy like Bam Adebayo, a guy like Donovan Mitchell, a guy like Tyler Hero, that is more than capable enough with Jokic because of the value that we get with Kennard, who, if he starts, I'm locking him into it. Like, I'll just go ahead. You'll have 14.6K combined with Jokic and Kennard. Yeah, it doesn't get better than that. All right. But really, I mean, I don't really know if I have like too much to add, right? Like, I don't want to get too crazy with multiple like cheapies from one team outside of the Grizzlies. Like, I'm not going to have, Batum and Chris Dunn. I'm not going to have Jovic and Highsmith, right? Like, that's just not going to happen. Could you have one of those guys from one of those teams? Yeah, sure. But don't go around pairing fringe plays because the baseline that you're going against in the Grizzlies is going to be pretty stout, right? You're going to want to beat that. And you don't want to do 2 fringe plays already, right? Like you want to do 1 and kind of mix it up elsewhere. Like I don't think you want to get, 18 minutes out of Peyton Watson. Like, even though I love Peyton Watson, I'm not going to pair Peyton Watson with Zeke Naji, right? And hope for the best. No, I'd play Peyton Watson and, play him with Kennard too, and then kind of get double studs, which you're capable of doing today. I would say that the issue is that if you don't really like Curry, but your double stud's going to come from that first game. Maybe you can run it back with Harden or Kawhi Leonard, though. I mean, I think that's probably the best move if you have Jokic, potentially running it back with one of the Clippers studs as well.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely like getting exposure to those Clipper studs. Like I talked a little bit about them. I didn't like go into super detail, but I love the spot for those Clipper studs for sure.
Yeah, and I mean, where the usage is going to come from with them, right? Like, that Harden and Kawhi are going to command all the usage. Zubac's going to try and match a lot of Jokic's minutes. So it's like, you know exactly what to expect from the Clippers. I don't think I have anything else to add. I mean, I'm very skeptical of Bane and Jackson paired together, Jaren Jackson, that is. So it's like, I don't know. I think there's a world where, you don't have to have either, and they could be in the winner, and they're going to combine for 80% ownership, I bet. So it'll be interesting, man. Going. Anything else to add? You want to do a play of the day here?
Yeah, I'm with you. Like Bane and Jackson are fine, but they're not like, guys I feel like are just like lock button plays. But they're going to get a huge bump without Ja, right? So you can't ignore it. Yeah, we can do plays of the day. I do have a bet I'll ask you about though, just before we get out of here. I bet at the past 2 games. It hasn't hit yet. I don't know if I want to keep chasing it, but Jamal Murray, 35 plus points, 15-1 just feels wrong. And I was like, if I just bet it the whole playoffs, like it'll eventually hit, right? Like 15-1 is
until they're out in 5 games. But
that's the problem. Yeah. But like I was like, well, if they get through, like it just 15-1 feels wrong. They're on the road, which I don't love, but could be missing guys, or he could get an increased role. Could play 45 minutes tonight. Like, I mean,
I
should I
like
bet it again?
I don't even like this spot for Jamal Murray, but I think 15-1 is a little egregious.
Yeah, for 35 plus points, it's just a little egregious for a guy that, shoots almost 20 shots a game. And when he gets hot, it turns into, 28, and so, yeah, that's all.
Yep, sounds good. You go ahead and get into your play of the day. I can already guess it. I'm Nostradamus with this. I already know your play of the day is going to be.
Who is it?
It's Davion Mitchell.
No, it's actually not, but I love Davion.
Oh, okay. I was wrong. Actually,
I do like Davion. He would be a good play of the day. You can take it if you want, but that's not my play of the day.
All right. Then go ahead and bless me with your play of the day, man. Go.
I just talked about him. It's Jamal Murray. He's gonna.
I like it.
I'm a big believer in playoff Jimmy. I'm a big believer in playoff Jamal Murray. Like, there's certain guys. There's not a laundry list, right? But there's a short list of guys that turn it on for the playoffs. Jamal Murray, 7.4K. I know Chris Dunn has been a problem. I know he's been great defensively, but I don't care. When Jamal Murray is filling it up, he's filling it up. So 7.4K is too cheap. I will continue to play him, and he's going to be lower owned. I think he's a great tournament play. Give me Jamal Murray as my play of the day.
I like it. Everyone knows that I'm locking in Nikola Jokic, but I'm also going to go with a power forward eligible player, and his name is Bam Adebayo. Massive amount of minutes in the last game, in game 2 for the Heat here. They need him out there to win, Mangone. You know why? Because they don't really got anyone else. They can't rely on Chloe Ware to do anything. 11, 14, and 9 last game on poor 3 for 9 shooting. I think this is a game that Bam Adebayo goes off, and I think the minutes are going to be incredibly safe. And for 8,400, I'll take that all day. Bam Adebayo is my play of the day here. You got Jamal Murray as Mangones. We appreciate y'all for watching. Thank you, and have a great rest of your day. Don't forget, RPS15 is the code to use for 15% off your first payment here, and have a great rest of y'all's day. And good luck as I try and find the outro clip right now.